Well, a very, very happy Monday morning, everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope everyone had a great July 4th holiday. Man, I had a lot of fun stuff to do. Watched a lot of baseball. Went to the San Diego County Fair and got out, got some exercise. All is good. Was up and at 'em this morning. KUSI with Paul Rudy and Lauren Finney this morning. Tonight, I got a Strike Force game. They got a very critical game in the indoor football league tonight. The Strikes Force playing host to first place Bay Area Panthers 6:05 at the new Front Wave Arena. And in between all of that, we're doing a 1 hour podcast today. Very glad you could join us. We're going to get to your questions. Padres take 2 out of 3 over the weekend from the Bruce Bochy led Texas Rangers. The Arizona Diamondbacks in town for 4 games starting tonight. And then the Padres will finish up the first half of the season, leading into the All-Star break with 3 games on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, a very critical series, I think, for both ball clubs starting tonight at Petco Park at 6:40. The Arizona Diamondbacks coming in at 44-46. Right now, they're in 4th place in the NL West, 11.5 games back of LA. Dodgers swept over the weekend, 3 straight by the Houston Astros. Padres trying to work their way back into contention for the division, 7 games back right now. And we're going to get into everything today. But as usual, when the Padres take on the Diamondbacks, we track down my good friend who's at Sky Harbor Airport, getting ready to head out for for Big 12 Media Day tomorrow. Brad Cesmat, founder and CEO of Sports 360 AZ, and Mr. Cesmat, yeah, you're ready to roll, man. Football season is upon us, huh?
John, the calendar never stops. Calendar never stops. And so, yeah, today for a lot of people, it's the Diamondback series in San Diego, which we'll get to momentarily. For me, I'm going to go to Dallas. I'm going to hear every coach, John, at Media Day is going to go undefeated. Every coach is going to say they are loaded. Every coach is going to say it's the best team they've ever had. I've never gone to a media day where a coach says, we have no chance. We're going to get our ass handed to us every single week. We are going to get stomped on. I can't believe I have such a bad assistant coaching staff. And this guy that's going to play quarterback can't play dead. Why is it, I've never heard that. So I know what I'm walking into. But it's good for the fans. Fans like to hear it. And there's no negatives when everybody's 0-0. It's like baseball season. And I think the Big 12 is kind of interesting just in this new college landscape with the SEC and Big 10 trying to force the Big 12 into submission along with the ACC. So I'm going to go down there, do some business, talk to some coaches, some players. Arizona State's an interesting story. They have a Heisman Trophy candidate, Sam Levitt, quarterback. I'm a Heisman voter, so I want to get to know him well. And then, last year ASU was a surprise team. But in terms of the baseball team that's coming into your part of the country, or your neck of the woods, man, I'd give anything for 4 days in San Diego right now. They're not good. They're not good. They can't hit. They look lackadaisical. John, they had a homestand that started out with Miami. The Brooms came out, except it was for the wrong team. And then they had the Giants, and then they had the Royals. And when it was all said and done, they went 3-7 on a homestand. And if it weren't for the fact that the National League is all bundled up, which is great for baseball, I'm sure you've seen it, John, how ratings for baseball this year are great. TV ratings are great. Attendance is up across the board. It's because the game is relevant in a lot of markets. It's because they've gotten away from all the stuff that people don't want to hear about. The off the field stuff, or is it the umpire's fault? This umpire stinks. That umpire stinks. Yeah, we hear that every night. People just want to get away for a little bit. So, for the Diamondbacks to say that they're out of it in the National League West, or National League, I should say, they're out of it to beat the Dodgers. But that's no surprise. It's July 4th, July 7th today. They're always out of it to beat the Dodgers. This is always about getting into the wild card. I think you'd probably admit that with the Padres. This is about a wild card berth. That's all it is. And with as many talented teams as there are over in the National League, John, that's going to come right down to the end. I mean, you look at a team like Pittsburgh who blew out their manager. They're still like 9 back in the wild card. But I got to tell you, they're playing so much better, and they've got good pitching, and they've got a bunch of no names. It's just one team. I watched the Cubs and Cardinals last night. Those are two really good teams. So you go through the National League and it's how many teams are bad. Mike Rizzo is a good dude at Washington. They blew him out. But the Giants are not going to go away. They may be fading right now. So it's a huge series for both teams, I think.
Before we dive into this series a little more, and particularly about Arizona, what they're looking to get done, either being buyers or sellers, Mike Rizzo, who had really a great run. I know things have
Yeah,
not gone well the last few years, but he did bring a world championship to Washington. And prior to taking that job, started as general manager, then it morphed into the president of baseball operations. He was a scouting director for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
that's right.
And,
Yeah.
I guess I was surprised yesterday that him and Davey Martinez, got blown out. They've got some really, really good young players. Well, three of them, courtesy of the San Diego Padres, I might add. Uh, and I know they've been really struggling, and they thought they were going to blow Martinez out a couple of weeks ago, and then they had a pretty good road trip where they were playing pretty well. I don't think either one of those guys is going to be out of the game all that long. I think
No.
Rizzo is going to have a job. If he wants one, he's going to have one fairly quickly, maybe not by the end of the year, but definitely during the off season. And I would certainly think he'll probably bring Davey Martinez along with him because he seems to like Martinez a great deal.
Well, I know Riz from when he was here building the Diamondbacks back when I was part of it too. And Mike's a good man, a good baseball man. I liked what he did yesterday. Sent out a text. It's life. Turn the page, move on. He's had a good run. I mean, John, 20 years, 20 years at one organization. But give me the last time that they had a player that really, really came through the system outside of Strasburg that they held on to. So you got to look at ownership, in my opinion, when it's, well, they have all these young studs now. Yeah, they had to trade this and trade that and move this piece and move that piece. And it's been a constant, from my view of Washington, it's just been a constant turnstile of players that have come in and out. They have not been able to keep great players. When they have a very good player, they start looking ahead at the contract. And, so they're going through the change. It's kind of like when Bomel got let go in San Diego. It was just from my view, it was just a clash of front office, clash of ego, clash of things behind the scenes. And it's worked out, hasn't it? I mean, you see where the organization is in San Diego. So sometimes it is a different voice. Is it a cheap owner in Washington who wants to cut payroll and wants to do things? And Riz said, "You're going to do that? I'm out. If you're not going to be patient, I'm out." Because owners are crazy. We do know that to be true in pro sports. Owners are crazy. They think they've got all the answers. If your GM is not being given the latitude to go do what he needs to do, it's better to move on.
Heck, the one guy they did invest in, Steven Strasburg, didn't pitch in, I don't think, more than a dozen games after he got that long-term contract.
Right, right. And that's, it's kind of like Corbin Burns over here, right? Corbin Burns gets this huge contract, much like Strasburg, except the decimal points move down a couple of more spots. And Corbin gets hurt this year. He's probably going to miss most, if not all, of next season. And so the Diamondbacks are on the hook for a huge number. I think that's been a storyline with this organization. I can't fault the owner over here. I really can't. I can't fault what Mike Hazen has done over here because if you look at some of their deals, you trade a bag of rocks up to Seattle for Ketel Marte. Pretty good deal, I'd say. It's turned out. You found Perdomo. You get Suarez off the scrap heap, and now he's an all-star. And they may trade him. I know we'll get into that. They may have to trade him. Where they've come up short, John, throughout this run, this organization, for as long as I've covered them, it feels like, go all the way back to the 98 season when it was Big Greg Olson who was trying to close out games, and he couldn't do it. And then it was Matt Manti and Jose Valverde. I mean, I could go through all these names, right? But there was no Rich Gossage. There was no Raleigh Fingers. You know what I mean? There was nobody that was there's no Trevor Hoffman. Not that you're going to find those guys on every corner, but this has been an organization that has not been able to figure out a bullpen. I think the number now is 8 blown leads after the eighth inning. After the eighth inning. I think the number is 26 games now that they've blown where they've had the lead after the sixth inning. So, John, if it's even half of those games they figure out, where are they today? They're right there. Now, what's gone on here in the last few games, this homestand in particular, is they're not hitting. You know how it is. You catch a team when they're red hot. Or there's times when you catch a team and they can't hit to save their life. They couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. And that's where they are right now. They just look lethargic. They had 2 day games back to back, and they look like they're half asleep, sleepwalking through it. It's inexcusable. It's Kansas City. Yeah, it's a nice team, but inexcusable, really. And the Giants, they took the first two against the Giants, and the last two, there's a lot of first pitch swinging. Just a lot of guys getting up there saying, I'm not going to be patient. I'm not going to work on pitch counts. And yeah, injuries are part of it. Fans don't want to hear that Corbin Carroll hasn't been on the field until yesterday for the last almost 3 weeks. That's a big, big loss. He's an all-star who wasn't out there.
How about Bunyan Kim? You left him off the list.
BK. BK was great. BK he did not understand what anybody was saying in the locker room because he spoke a different language. But when we weren't in the locker room, he spoke just fine the English language. He read comic books.
Hey, real quick, just a follow up on Bunyan Kim. Isn't he the guy that used to sleep standing up on the airplane?
So I heard that story. I was never on the airplane with him when I saw it. So I cannot confirm other than yes, that was the rumor. That was the rumor.
Okay.
There was a guy, Brian Anderson. Remember Brian Anderson?
Oh, yeah.
Brian Anderson. I'm doing some work with the Diamondbacks. I'm flying on their charter, and we're in a lightning storm. And he's never been through turbulence. And he falls to the floor, gets out of his seat, falls to the floor, just grabs on, is screaming. Just when you're around 20-something-year-olds and they've never done this stuff before. It's like taking a kid at football camp up to the mountains and they tell them there's bears that are going to eat them, Oh my gosh, there's bears.
Okay, let's talk about fact or fiction here. Mike Hazen, who I think has done an awful good job. I mean, of course, like any general manager, he's going to have some swings and misses, but overall, considering all the things he's had to navigate on the field, off the field, in his personal life, eventually losing his wife after a courageous battle with cancer. He's not a guy that seems like he's looking to wave the white flag right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think everything you've said about Mike is fact. I mean, the fact he went through and stuck with his wife to the end and stayed with the job and was with the Diamondbacks when they were making their push. They were a World Series team. People forget that. They were a World Series team just a couple of years ago. And it's not easy to win in Phoenix. It's not easy to win when you don't have the resources. The owner that they have, Ken Kendrick, has been, I think, a very good owner in the sense of he knows that the baseball team is a community trust. He's never going to put a team out on the field, ask people to pay money, and he knows it's dog food, right? So, and I appreciate that because and I know that there are owners that just flat don't care. What's my bottom line look like? And that's it. Yeah, there's some of that with Ken, but I feel like what Mike has been able to do with Ken, I would say Derek Hall's done a nice job with agents, and that's all part of it. They've got a good front office over here, John. This is not a big market. They just got the stadium deal done through the city. This was like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Last time I was on with you, we were talking about whether they could get a new deal done. So they have the deal done with the city. Within the next 3 to 4 years, the stadium's going to be reduced down to about 37,000. Right now, it's north of 49. It's too big. You want to make it so demand is always there. Their attendance numbers are up. So then you go over to the baseball side. Okay, business side looks like it's going in the right direction. You go over to the baseball side. You look at a kid like Corbin Carroll and you say, okay, they've got him under control. They signed him to a 10-year deal, John. Yeah.
A very affordable 10-year deal.
Correct. In this day and age in baseball. And then they signed Brandon Pfaadt to a 5-year deal. Now, Pfaadt hasn't been as good this year. Pfaadt's deal he's been too good. He throws everything right down the middle. Every now and then, down and away, outside, everything he's trying to overpower. And for some reason, it hasn't worked. Zach Gallen's contract. He gave Gallen a contract extension. Mike did a couple of years back. He deserved it. Now Gallen's a free agent. This will get into our discussion about who to sell and who to move. But clearly, Zach Gallen has been one of the biggest disappointments in the National League this year in all baseball in terms of starting pitchers. who are supposed to perform. He was their opening day starter. I think he's 5-9 now. His ERA is north of 5. Unacceptable. Well, Mike, but John, it's what has Mike done here? Last year, Mike Hazen said, "Okay, Christian Walker, we're going to let you go." They brought in Pavin Smith. They've lost some bat there at first base. Now Pavin's on the injured list. That's been a hole for them this season. They haven't had as much offense. They haven't had as much offense out of Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in left, Alec Thomas in center. Thomas is a terrific defensive player, but just have not gotten a whole lot of offense. And then behind the plate, they've gone through 3 catchers because Gabby Moreno hasn't been able to stay healthy this season. And they've had just a ton of injuries, in fairness. So it's one of those questions of, okay, if everybody were here, as I said earlier, if the bullpen hadn't blown up and they walk out of the gate swings open and they carry matches and a can of gas rather than the baseball and the glove, they'd be right in the middle of it. So the hard question is, okay, in the next 2 weeks, you go to San Diego and they get swept and there's 7 out of the wild card. Is that still out of the wild card? I don't think it is this year. You got to look at it and just say, okay, we're at a point where we're 10 back, 12 back to wild card. It's not going to happen. Let's move Gallen. Let's move Kelly. Maybe we move Suarez. I know Seattle's interested in Suarez and it's called about Suarez. Gino's had a terrific year. He's won the All-Star game. I'd be hesitant to do that, but they've had a good knack over here of knowing when to get out from under contracts and still be a competitive team. They're going to win 85 to 90 games this year. They will, unless the bullpen keeps pitching like it has. But in all likelihood, they're going to be right around where they were the last few years. And that's what you want. It's a winning ball club. It's not anything that's going to compete with LA, at least in the regular season. But as we saw in 2023, in the postseason, anything can happen. The Diamondbacks eliminated the Dodgers. So,
Brad, I think the next 2 weeks are very interesting, let alone the trading deadline on July 30th. But, the week prior to the All-Star game, a lot of players are starting to think about their few days off and their
right.
girlfriends, their wives, their kids, and trying to keep guys focused. I know it's their job, and some guys will stay focused more than others. But then even coming out after you have those few days off and you get back and play, the next Friday, it normally takes guys a couple of days to kind of, get the cobwebs out. And so
Mhm.
really the next couple of playing weeks are very interesting for teams, let alone the individual players, I think.
No, I think that's a great point. I know yesterday on the TV postgame show, Mark Grace was not very happy that the team didn't have a sense of urgency about them. And Tori Lavello was trying to explain that to the media about, yeah, we just didn't look like we had a sense of urgency. And Mark's like, I don't want to hear that. I had a sense of urgency every day I went out to the yard. What do you mean you don't have a sense of urgency?
It's a different mindset now, though.
Sure it is. No, you and I know that. This is not, well, back in the day, back when no, it is a different mindset now. You have so many other distractions. A kid like Cattell Marte has a guy that heckles him, says some stuff inappropriate about his mom, right? And I'm sure you saw it. And Tori goes out and consoles him in front of everybody. Gino's out there consoling him. Perdomo. The thing is, this is a good, close-knit team. Things like that, and you see the reaction. Some guys, it's kind of like when you have a dust up and some guys don't get up off the bench, or some guys get in late out of the bullpen. I'm not really into this, right? So I think they've got a close-knit group over here. Going to San Diego and then going up I-5 to play the Angels, like that's a week that you could see guys totally check out. Like, that's a hard week. And then you come back and you play St. Louis, who's probably the biggest surprise in the National League this season outside of the Giants early on. St. Louis has played great.
All right, Brad, let's talk a little bit about this week. And, let's say they go 4-3 and they stay in the hunt. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
give them 4 wins this week. They go 4-3 going into the All-Star break, or they go 3-4. What do you think? See, the way I look like the Padres right now, the Padres, I think, can find a way to get into the playoffs.
Mhm.
But their farm system is so bare right now. It may be better to trade off what you can, whether you're going to trade a Rise or Cease, or if Michael King comes back, or a Suarez, to replenish the farm system. Maybe take a step or two back to go a couple of steps forward next year. Because you get in this year, I'm not sure San Diego, and this is not the same team it was a year ago because of the pitching. And Darvish is going to come back and attempt to pitch tonight. I don't think they can win a world championship with what they have right now, or at least the way
Right.
they've been playing so far this year. And those are things that general managers and ownership have to gauge.
Well, they should, and they have to know when to look at something and say, okay, this is a postseason team. That's going to be great for our bottom line. We'll sell a lot of T-shirts that we made the NLDS. We're not going to sell any World Series gear because we're nowhere near close, right? So you have to make the business side of sports decision. As you and I have done this through the years. I've seen it over here quite a bit where players get signed as a certain nationality, and then all of a sudden there's a company that is from a different part of the world that puts a sponsorship together, and it's like, oh, that's why they did this. And the guy can't play dead, right? I've seen that in the NBA. I've seen that. Definitely seen it in the NBA. I've seen that in Major League Baseball a little bit. And so it's, what are we really getting out of this? Like, I'll take the Diamondbacks. Give me a compelling reason to keep Zach Gallen if you're just on the fringe of being in the wild card. And my response would be, you can't. You can't. Merrill Kelly is the same way. And Merrill, I think, has been underrated over here. He's been kind of in the shadows of Zach. But they both are in a space where they can go out on the open market and claim huge dollars. And for a team that's in contention, definitely down the stretch, if they're willing to give up 2 or 3, to your point, John, if a Rise gives you back 2 or 3 players to rebuild your farm system towards next year, and you're building a team that is not just hey, we're happy we got in the postseason, then yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Would I trade Suarez? I don't think I would trade Suarez, but and this is a very heavy metric organization, as most baseball teams are now. If you feel like this is the peak of Suarez's career, okay, this is the best that Gino has played in, I don't know, 5, 6 years. If you feel like this is his ceiling and he's not getting any younger, and you look at your bottom line with contracts coming up, do you say, okay, let's trade him now? We know we're going to take a step back, but we weren't going to win anyways this year. You can't just look at it and say, well, the Dodgers have all this money and we're screwed and we're not even going to compete. You can't do that. You can't let it dissolve into what's happened in a market like Colorado. Well, we're in the NL West. We're never going to win. And we have a lineup out here that's not going to do much of anything. I think you have to, and in your situation, your ownership changed last year with passing of Mr. Seidler, right? So you don't know what that voice is like in the ownership box.
Amen to that. We have no idea what his brother John Seidler is going to do, if anything.
Right. And so fans are left with hey, buy our City Connect jerseys. They're really cool. By the way, they're $220, but they're really cool. Come to the ballpark and support us. Watch our games on television. Do all the things as a fan to support the San Diego Padres, because we're Padre fans through and through. Okay, that's great. But are you guys committed to winning here? Or are you just committed to putting out something that is more beneficial to the bottom line? I think the days of ripping fans off, um, fans are becoming much more educated and astute to understand that going to a pro sports event is like, how do we go afford this on all fronts? How do we do that? And by the way, the guy who's playing this position or that position is making so much money that I'll never see, and he's hitting 220. What is the point here? I think the anger from fans, and it's like when Kevin Durant left here yesterday. Kevin Durant, the Suns announced yesterday their trade went down, and he puts out a statement, and there was nowhere in the statement, I want to thank the fans of Phoenix. They've been amazing. And he just got buried. He got buried because he was just here as a mercenary, Slim Reaper, trying to hit some shots. And instead, they ended up being a team that missed the playoffs entirely. So the appreciation towards the fan it's a much bigger topic, right? Than probably you wanted me to go down this rabbit hole. But if you're looking at your owner in San Diego and saying, okay, why have you not sat in front of the media? Why have you not come on the John Kentera show? Why have you not gone on the flagship station? Although the flagship station is not going to ask him anything pressing or anything that's going to be earth shaking. It's going to be, oh, this is great. It's great. What's your score in your golf game, and get out of here. Why not have a hard conversation, look them dead in the eye and say, what is your payroll? Are you willing to keep payroll? Are you willing to add payroll? What are you going to do when Machado's deal does come up at some point? Like, well, you got to look ahead 2, 3, 4, 5 years. The great organizations are always 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. They're looking at the contract like the Diamondbacks with Corbin Carroll. Are you kidding me? That deal, $9 million a year? Come on. That's a great deal. That's almost a Bobby Bonilla deal, John. Come on.
It really is unbelievable. Hey, Brad, getting back to buying or selling, who are the pieces that they would look to move if they were going to go that direction? You mentioned Suarez, Gallen, Kelly. Those are 3 right there. Who else?
Well, I think they've got to make a decision with their center field situation. Jake McCarthy, Alec Thomas, 2 young players, like both of them in certain aspects. Other aspects just hasn't worked out. They just don't have enough pop. I think Gurriel Jr., to me, is a frustrating experience to watch him, because some games he's tremendous at the plate. In other games, it's like he's got his big old butterfly net out there, just swinging at anything. And so that's frustrating. And again, it comes back to, do you have the right consistency within the locker room? That answer is definitely yes. This is a good locker room. And you've been in bad locker rooms. We've both seen bad locker rooms. So then it's, okay, we're going to upset the chemistry by doing this. I would be surprised if they went the direction of Marte, Perdomo. I think those 2 are rocks here in Phoenix, but you don't know. It's the bullpen. I'd blow all of them out. They just keep throwing arms out there. And by the way, they keep getting hurt over here. I don't know if you've noticed how many injuries we've had over here this year, but it's been crazy how many guys have been on the injured list, pitchers that have been on the injured list. It's why their best pitcher over here, John, their best starting pitcher has been Ryan Nelson. It's not even been close.
He just went on the IL, didn't he?
He may have this morning. I didn't see that he went on, but Torrey's been limiting his numbers, his innings pitched, and he's been tremendous. I feel like he's been really good. Fott's been erratic, but they just signed Fott to a deal. I wouldn't give up on Fott. He's in his mid-20s. The back end of the rotation, Eduardo Rodriguez has not been good at all. He's been a good teammate, but he hasn't delivered the numbers. So, yeah, veteran left-handed starting pitcher with a big number. Would you want to perhaps put him out there? I think they'd get out from under that contract for sure. For sure. And John, those are contracts that, when you look at the teams in contention in the National League, that's pretty attractive. You need a veteran left-handed starting pitcher. We could do that. You need a veteran third baseman who, by the way, is going to the All-Star games, hit a bunch of home runs. Yep, we can do that. You need a couple renta pitchers who are going to walk away from you, but you're going to be. We've got Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen over here. Do that. Jordan Lawler is a tremendous prospect down in the minor leagues. They brought him up here for a little bit. He's back down at Reno. I don't know if they'd be willing to part with Jordan. They've got a log jam in the middle of their infield. Marte and Perdomo aren't going anywhere unless you decide, okay, this is the time to trade Perdomo, which I would be absolutely flabbergasted if they did that. Same with Marte. So they do have some people in their farm system, some everyday position guys. Moreno's been a guy that bad luck. He's had some injuries this season. Herrera's done a nice job for them behind the plate. So, but I think I would not even think about getting rid of Gabby Moreno. I just wouldn't do that.
I think he's one of the better catchers in the National League. In the division, he's second best catcher behind Will Smith. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, when he's healthy. And last time you and I were together a few weeks back, is Torrey's job in jeopardy, and I think it's all very fair to ask. It's all very fair to ask. When you have a series against Kansas City and they look lethargic, and Torrey's like, well, it's a couple of day games back to back, and maybe they just weren't focused. And he lit them up last week. Torrey went in and lit them up. It was a week and a half ago, and they responded. And then they didn't respond. Come home to Miami, flat. The series with Giants pounded them first 2 games. It's kind of like, I'm sure you're in this spot too. all is well because we beat the Giants on Monday. Oh, Tuesday. Oh man, we are back in it. And Wednesday, like, what the heck? Thursday, come on, man, really? And then the Royals. So yeah, it's been a team, John, this year that is very frustrating for me to watch because there has not been a consistent. They've not been able to rattle off the 8-10 game win streak or play games consistently that you look at and say, wow, they are really, really playing well right now. It's been up and down and up and down. And that's why they're 500 team.
Well, we'll see what they as they come to Southern California. And by the way, you're talking about you could use 3 or 4 days over here. I can't begin to tell you how many Arizona license plates I've seen the last few days. And by the way, I got a question about the Arizona driving rules. Are you
Yes.
allowed to turn right on a red light in Arizona?
Yes. Unless there's a
Okay.
sign that says, if there's a sign that says no right turn on a light, and there are those over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
But
there was
yes, you,
a couple days ago, I had two different Arizona cars in front of me, and I'm going, you can turn right on a red light as long as no cars are coming. There's no sign. And I thought there was like some rule or something. I was getting a little irritated.
the coach getting irritated over Arizona drivers. Now that's a show.
Yeah.
That's what
Hey,
no, that's a segment. What irritates the coach today? Well, let me tell you what irritates the coach today. I'll tell you what irritates me is when broadcasters complain about strike zones of umpires.
oh, and nightly, you know
Over
what?
over and over and over. I know they're bad.
Tell
I
me
got
more
you.
information about the opposing players and your players. Don't fall into the laziness of talking about the strike zone night in and night out. Do some
Uh,
homework.
it's just dreadful when I watch games and it's just whine about where
Oh,
was that? Oh, that was amazing. Come on.
only thing they need more other than the wine is a little cheese in the booth while they're doing it. I mean,
That's
seriously,
good stuff.
I can't
No.
begin to tell you. I mean, there's some really, really good broadcasters, and
Yep.
there's others that you can listen to. You know, they haven't done 1 ounce of homework.
It's uh it's an entertainment business from what I've heard. And I don't know. I mean, informing and entertaining is a skill. You entertain, you inform, you complain about Arizona drivers turning right. And there's people that are nodding their heads in agreement saying, I'm with the coach. There's a dumb darn that
You
happened.
know the other thing, Brad, about announcers that bug me now, and guys
Yeah.
like Fruco and Kuiper, they tell it the way it is, okay?
Yes.
But there's
Yes.
a lot of broadcast teams that every night they're in the booth, they're making sure they don't say anything wrong to where the ownership is going to be a critical. You're never allowed to talk about the other team making a good play or that could be you could be called on the red carpet. Everything's beautiful, even though
Yeah.
your team is not playing well.
Well, okay. This is us going down the rabbit hole. And the audience, I think, loves this. Okay. So if they don't, just cut me off. So Adam Silver, I'll take it over to the NBA. He's been complaining that the guys that are on television are too negative about the product and they don't sell the product enough. And he's referring to inside the NBA with Charles and Kenny and Shaq. They're too
Those
negative.
guys are outstanding. That's the best show on TV. I'm a big college game day, with Herb Street, and I know Corso's only going to do one more show, but I love that show, and I love Barkley. You know what? I didn't like Barkley a whole lot when he was a player, but as a broadcaster, you know what? More people need to be like Charles Barkley. Be honest with the public.
Yeah. If the Padres, and I'm not directing this towards Mark Grant, because I like Mark. Mark and I did Michael Jordan's only game over here back in the day. He was my color guy. It was one of those random moments. But anybody could be over here with Bob Brenly. Could be any, to say
Brentley's
that,
not a favored son in San Diego. You
no,
know
I
that,
know,
right?
I know. And I like BB. Um, but I think that the honesty that I like the first guess by an analyst. First guess. I'm not quite sure why he's not hitting and running here. Or, I would be in this position to hit and run. I like that. And Bob does that. Brentley does that. And I'm sure that there's people that go back to Tory and say, it's like when you were doing post game Padres and I did post game Diamondbacks, it was amazing to me how often Big Buck Showalter or BB would come up to me and say, "Hey, did you say this last night? Or I heard you said this. It's not what I said. Here's the tape, by the way." you know, it's just, we're not getting on you. Or then sometimes we are getting on you. Don't be so thin skinned. Who cares what people, are saying on shows? Go
Be
win
happy
some
when they're
games.
not talking about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Just shut up and do your thing. Like, I don't, when Dave Roberts gets under the gun by people, I get it. They just want to have something to bitch about with the Dodgers. Oh, I don't like Dave Roberts, or Dave Roberts, he's only good because he has this guy and that guy. You still have to balance it, man. Anybody, you still have to walk in that locker room and have 25 guys believe in you.
I think managing the Dodgers would be very difficult, to be honest with you.
Yes, yes. If you're managing a team like that, with all those superstars that have to buy in and all the egos that you have to juggle, I like things like when they fake out Otani with a pinch hitter. I don't know if you ever saw that clip where Otani's going up to bat and they said, "No, no, you're not. We're pinch hitting for you." It was like in the fifth inning of the game. And he thought they were being for real. And then at the last second, like, "No, we're not pinch hitting for you." I think just keeping it loose, the grind of 162, John, plus the grind of spring training, and it's not as much of a grind as it used to be. It drives me crazy when I hear owners or even front office people say, "Well, we have to watch his pitch count." It drives me crazy. He's at 70 pitches. What do you mean you have to watch his pitch count? Well, we need to be fresh in September. Okay, then why are we having all these arm injuries in baseball? That's a whole nother topic.
Oh
Well, it's
my
because
God, we could talk for days on that one.
yeah, it's youth ball, it's daddy baller, it's I am the trainer that knows everything. No, you know nothing, but you're taking mama's money. And
Let's go to Driveline and throw weighted balls.
hey,
And they
my
pay you a lot
son,
of, pay them a lot of money so that you can throw the weighted ball and blow out your shoulder or elbow.
my son is getting trained by a former major leaguer. That's great. Who? Oh, never heard of him. That's okay. Oh, he's the greatest. He's got him doing this and doing that. Oh, we'll go for an hour. How much you pay? $120. Okay. What?
Oh, it's unbelievable. And I'll tell you, in coaching, and I'm not going to make a blanket statement here, but I will tell you some of the worst coaching I have ever seen is by former professional or Major League Baseball players because a lot of them were very talented. They were able to go out and do it. And they were not always maybe fundamentally sound, but they had great athletic ability and they get very frustrated when they have to coach guys that maybe aren't as athletically inclined, and that's not saying that all of them are, but there are a lot of guys that just because they play, they can't coach a lick.
No, it's a communication skill. It's the coach that says, "Yeah, I'm not going to talk to the parent at all during the season." Okay, do you really think that's smart? Yeah, you can't have an open door to the parent, but it's a 10-year-old. Just so we're really clear, it's a 10-year-old, and you're saying you're not going to have any contact with the parent with a 10-year-old. That makes zero sense to me. You have to have an open line of communication. And guess what? There's going to be some challenges along the way. This is a hard game. There's going to be days where your son goes 0 for 5. Not my fault, not his fault. It's how it goes. Oh, well, this club over here, they're doing this. And this club over here got a deal done with Adidas. And this club is playing in this league, the Far West League, that's not here in Arizona because we're playing premier talent from Southern California. And the kid's going to get noticed around high school. What's going on with your kid? Oh, he's acting out. He doesn't like baseball anymore. I wonder why. Shocking. Maybe it's because you guys didn't go to Disneyland. Maybe it's because you didn't go fishing. Maybe it's because you did a camping trip. It's because you always had him out there throwing a baseball every freaking single day. And you thought that that's how he was going to become the best rather than just being doing normal things, go out to a Friday night dinner, go to church on a Sunday, do anything but play baseball. Okay. Oh, well, Brad, there's going to be the kid out there that's working when my son's not. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But that doesn't mean you should grow up without having any other interests in life. And we see that way too much now that's just instilled in our kids and coaches that If you're not all in, if you're not going to practice 4 nights a week as an 8-year-old, then you're not really committed to baseball. No, you're crazy. That's what's going on.
Hey, I'll let you go. Good luck at Big 12 Media Day, and at some point we're going to have to get you on, and we'll do a Big 12 preview, and you can break it all down. I'm sure you're going to have dinner with Neon Dion, Coach Prime, at some point.
Nah, I'm hearing Dion may not show, but Julian Salen is going to show. So the big Carlsbad Lancer quarterback is going to be there.
Yeah, tell him Coach Kentera said hello. I had him on my
Oh,
radio show. He called me one night during a Padre game. We had about a 20-minute conversation when he was at Carlsbad. He's a really good kid.
yeah, he's supposed to be there. I didn't see any other San Diego, Southern California angles, but good being with you. Your show looks great. You sound great. Always around. Thanks for checking in.
Hey, safe travels, my friend. Thanks. There you go. Brad Cesmat talking a little bit of everything. Give you a little uh, thoughts on the Diamondbacks coming in against the Diamondbacks, 44-46, fourth place, 11 and a half games back of LA. Are they going to be buyers or sellers? Well, this week in Southern California, 4 games against our Padres and 3 up there against the Halos. Okay, we got a lot to get done here still. We're going to get to your questions very, very shortly. Let's take a look at the pitching matchups for the series against the Diamondbacks tonight. Monday, Zach Gallen, 6-9 and a 5.45, going against the 38-year-old right-hander Yu Darvish. I was on KUSI this morning. They said, what do you expect out of Darvish? Well, hopefully he can stay healthy. I don't know if he's going to go 3 innings, 4 innings. I don't know what the pitch count will be. Padres shouldn't give out the pitch count, I can tell you that. Just let him go out there when it's time to take him out. You either take him out on your own, or the hitters will let you know when he needs to come out of the ball game. But Yu Darvish making his season debut tonight. Last year, when he did pitch, he was fantastic. 7-3 with a 3.31 ERA. Did a great job last year, but only threw 81 in a third innings last year. So tonight, Gallen against Darvish. Tomorrow night, Merrill Kelly, who I think is really great. 36-year-old right-hander, 7-4 in a 3.55, going against right-hander Nick Pivetta, 9-2 and a 3.25. I think Pivetta got screwed. I think he should have been on the All-Star team. Wednesday, that'll be a 6:40. You got right-hander Brandon Pfaadt, 8-6 and a 5.42, going against Dylan Cease, 3-8 and a 4.62, again 6:40. And Thursday night, left-hand pitcher Eduardo Rodriguez, 3-5 and a 5.78, going against right-hander Randy Vasquez, 3-4 and a 3.79. So there you have the matchups. All 4 games are at 6:40. Critical series for the Padres. They started the weekend 9 games back. They've cut it down to 7. Not too often do people go into Dodger Stadium and sweep the Dodgers. Well, it happened over the weekend, and Houston completely outplayed them from game 1 to game 3. Of course, Friday night that game got away. Dodgers didn't throw any of their big guns in that series, by the way. I mean, Ohtani threw 2 innings Saturday, looked fantastic. But then they turned it over to Robleski. He ended up giving up 5 runs, and then yesterday they got beat. But they got beat on Saturday or Friday night, 18-1. Worst loss. Dodger Stadium opened in 1962, and that was the worst loss by the Dodgers at home at Dodger Stadium in Dodger history. 18-1. Think about that. Okay, 3 Padres on the All-Star team, and I'll be very honest. I think Fernando got a gift. Fernando, he had a good game on Sunday night against Texas. 2 for 3, a couple of walks, 19 stolen base, RBI double, but he's hitting 261. He had a great April, but I think he got a gift. I think Seiya Suzuki, the outfielder who's got like 77 or 78 RBIs and 26 home runs, deserves to be on the All-Star team. Even Andy Pajes up there with the Dodgers had better numbers than Fernando. But I'm glad Fernando made it. But I think they're a little bit of a gift. Jason Adam, very well deserved. Manny voted in and deserved to be voted in. Even though he's slowed down a little bit the last couple of weeks, still sitting on 1,998 hits. Hopefully he'll get those 2 hits tonight, and we can celebrate on Wednesday's show being a 2,000 hit, 350 home run guy. But yeah, 3 guys. I still think Pavetta could get in possibly because somebody's going to drop out. I just don't know if Pavetta's going to throw tomorrow night and then throw on Sunday. If he throws Sunday, he's out of it. But I think Nick Pavetta, I mean, he wins tomorrow night. He'll have 10 wins. And again, he's 9-2 with a 3.25 ERA. That's deserving to be in the All-Star game. We'll talk more about the All-Star game, coming up on Wednesday and Friday, and of course next Monday. The big story, who's going to start for the National League? Should it be Paul Skeens or should it be Zach Wheeler? Skeens started last year. He's having a good individual year, not wins and loss record, but ERA, strikeouts, all that, and threw great again yesterday. But Zach Wheeler, man, Zach Wheeler's tough. I think Zach Wheeler deserves an opportunity to start for the National League. So we'll see how that goes. But I think Zach Wheeler certainly deserves to be the starting pitcher for the National League. And I would think Tarek Skubal would probably get the call for the American League, but that's stuff we'll talk about going forward. Yeah, I just want to go back to Yu Darvish a little bit. Nothing the Padres ever do with pitching ever surprises me. And I realize that Yu Darvish kind of calls his own shots on this. And, he's thrown a couple of simulated games. If you recall back, was it in June? Yeah, it was, I think, June 14th, he threw for El Paso over in Las Vegas. That's when he bought everyone a gourmet steak dinner. It was a beautiful dinner. And then he had a setback. And then he's thrown like some bullpens and some simulated games. I have no idea what to expect tonight. I just want him to be able to stay healthy. Hopefully he goes out there, can go 3 innings, maybe 4. I would imagine the pitch count's got to be somewhere in the neighborhood 75 to 80 pitches. I don't think they're going to leave him out there for 100. It sounded like his velocity when he repped it up to 97, that was giving him a little problem, but natural adrenaline's going to kick in tonight. And maybe he'll throw a little bit more free and easy tonight, and he'll get it up to 97. But he's got a lot of breaking balls, and maybe, just maybe, at 39 almost, he's 38, he'll be 39 shortly, maybe he's been working on, reinventing himself as a pitcher. And I hope so, because the Padres have him under contract through 2028, and they owe him $63 million. We got to get something out of Yu Darvish. And we're going to find out tonight how he pitches, but it's not necessarily how he pitches tonight. It's how he comes out of it. Is he going to be healthy? Is he still, working his way back up? It's kind of like with Ohtani. Ohtani is rehabbing at the highest level of baseball right now. And of course, he's got a lot of tricks in his backpack. I mean, he got that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got the split. He's got the slider. He got a curveball. I mean, Ohtani's amazing. But he's doing it against major league hitters at the highest level. And Yu Darvish is coming off a significant injury that's hampered him all season long. So we'll see. I don't know what to expect. This could end up being a bullpen game tonight for the Padres, like last night's was. Okay, let's get to some questions. And I want to go back and talk a little bit about that series against Bruce Bochy's Texas Rangers. Our live questions, coaches, crew. Let's shoot them out there and see what we got today. All right, Kanislapus, hope you had a great 4th, Coach. Fantastic. Went to the fair, came home, watched Padre baseball, and the way things worked out, I watched the Padres and then the Dodger game. Got a chance to watch them against the White Sox, Will Venables ball club. Hey, let's give some love to Jake Cronenworth, solid OPS, 20 homers, 500 ABs pace. We'll see if he gets to the 20 homers. I'll tell you this, Sunday night, and by the way, the entire series, I thought Jake played really well. This is one of the better series for Jake. If you go back to the last batter of the first inning on Sunday night, if he doesn't catch that line drive, and I can't remember exactly, it was Jonah Heim hit, I can't remember who hit it, against David Morgan. I got to tell you, that would have been 3-0 Yeah, it would have been 3-0 right away. And you know what? They had runners on first and third, at least, if not second and third. So Cronenworth probably saved the game in the first inning last night. And of course, he also last night went 1 for 3 with a walk and had a good RBI hit late in the ball game. Cronenworth played really well defensively and offensively, and he hit that home run the other night against Patrick Corbin. He hasn't hit left-handers real well the last few years, but he had a good weekend, no question about it. We'll see if he can get to 20 bombs. Not that long ago, this guy was an 80-plus RBI guy. And right now, he doesn't, I don't think he even has 30 RBIs yet. So you got to get a little more production out of Jake Cronenworth. All right, good question to start it off. What else we got? Matthew, thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. Super. Do you see AJ bringing significant reinforcements? Matthew, I would ask you, are the Padres going to take on money? They're not going to trade Leo DeVries or Salas or Cash Mayfield. I mean, I don't know what they have. I don't know what other teams are asking the Padres for. They're all asking about DeVries, I'm sure. But if you trade him, and by the way, did you see Mackenzie Gore? Even though Mackenzie Gore has got a losing record, but he's got a good ERA, made the All-Star team. James Wood made the All-Star team. C.J. Abrams very well could have made the All-Star team. They weren't going to take 3 guys from the Washington Nationals, but C.J. definitely, who's already been to one All-Star game, he could have gone this year, and who knows, maybe he will. And again, as Brad Cesmat and I talked about, Mike Rizzo, president of baseball operations, and Davey Martinez, the skipper in Washington, relieved of their duties after their loss on Sunday. So we'll see. They're going to name their interim manager today. See who that's going to be. But you know what? I don't know what AJ's got to trade. The only other way, if you don't have something really tasty to trade to another organization, you don't want to give up your top guys. Maybe you can take an expiring contract. I don't know what ownership wants to do here. I don't really know what they want to do. So we're going to have to wait and see. This is going to be John Seidler's big opportunity. And you know what? First impressions are usually long-lasting impressions. So if he wants to make a splash and everybody go, oh man, the Padres are still in it to win it, then you're going to spend some money. But if they do nothing, then we kind of know where this organization is probably headed because they don't have a farm system right now. They don't have a real deep farm system. They got some talent, but not a real deep farm system. And all the good guys that you're counting on are down. One guy's hitting 188 in Double-A, and he's on the IL, been on the IL for 2 months, and Ethan Salas, and all the other prospects are in A-ball. So that's what you have. Matthew, we're going to have to wait and see. July 30th, leading up to that, going to be very, very interesting. And I would imagine during the All-Star break, there'll be a lot of talking between general managers. And it used to be all the general managers that go, and it'd almost be like a mini winter meetings. But a lot of those general managers now, they just do it by phone. They want some free time. They don't want to be around the ballpark for 3 days. But Matthew, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Casey King, good morning, Coach. You think Angels make a change at GM at the end of the year? And could you see Mike Rizzo winding up in Anaheim and possibly bringing in Dave Martinez in as manager? I think Washington retires. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Ron Washington, and I don't want to sit here and make a guess, but it has been very, very quiet on the Ron Washington front. I don't think he will be back. Even if he's able to get through whatever health issue it is, I don't think he will be back. Now, I will tell you this. He was doing a pretty good job. And I watched Ray Montgomery over the weekend, and I know he's very, very well thought of baseball man. He's trying to figure out being a manager. I know they've kind of wanted him to be the manager for a while. He made some mistakes, just some mistakes, I think, and how he's handling some things. And I can't, pinpoint one of them, but I wasn't overly impressed over the weekend. I don't think Rizzo would take another job unless he knew ownership actually wanted to compete. I'll tell you a perfect spot, and I'm not trying to fire anybody with Colorado, but I would think Mike Rizzo would be a great guy to go in there and just get some things done with Colorado. because, and again, I don't know if Dick Monfort really wants to spend money. And Bill Schmidt, their general manager, a really good baseball guy, been with the organization forever. I coached against Bill Schmidt back in like 1980 or 1981. He was an assistant coach for Don Snedden at Santa Ana College. And Billy Schmidt's a great scout, great evaluator, but you got to have money. But I would certainly think Mike Rizzo and Dave Martinez are going to have jobs before too long. Martinez will probably have to wait until, after the season. He could end up being somebody's bench coach, but Rizzo, if he wants. And I talked to a friend of Rizzo's last night and said Rizzo's still young, still into it, would probably love to have a second opportunity. And overall, he did a great job in Washington. You win a world title, you're doing something right. And they had some bad breaks with some injuries, namely Strasburg. They invested a lot of money in Strasburg, and now he's a pitching coach at Santa Fe Christian. Figured that out. Okay, what else we got here? Big Sam Sanford. Hi, Coach. I know baseball is a game of peaks and valleys, that's for sure. But Merrill needs to start figuring it out. He looks completely lost at the plate right now, and the Padres can't afford a sophomore slump. Well, he's going through the sophomore slump. Sam, he looks absolutely lost at the plate. Well, first of all, they figured it out. It's like with Fernando. They knock him off the plate. He's got long arms. They don't want him to get his arms extended. Then they go soft away. They've worked Fernando over. He hasn't really made adjustments. He keeps diving in and continues to get knocked in the dirt. And Jackson Merrill, they're just killing him with high fastballs. And until he can get on a high fastball, he's going to struggle. He's almost got like that launch angle going right now. He can't get to it. And when he does get to it, he either pops it up or fouls it back. Got to get on top of the baseball. And he had a terrible series. He was 1 for 14 in the series against Texas. In fact, I wrote it down. 0 for 5 Sunday night, 2 strikeouts, 1 for 4 against Texas with 5 strikeouts. Did drive in 1 run. Couldn't agree with you more. Get on top of the baseball, work the middle of the diamond, trying to pull too much, but he can't get to that high fastball. He's swinging under. Get on top, hit a hard ground ball at the second baseman. That's what you need to do during batting practice to get that barrel through the hitting area. Right now, everything's dragging. He can't get to that high fastball. And I guarantee you, Arizona, if they're paying attention and doing their due diligence in scouting the next team, then Zach Gallen and Fott and those guys, they had to be feeding him a lot of high fastballs to put him away. Until he can figure it out, he's going to see a lot of that. No question. What else we got here? We're rolling through this. We got a lot of stuff today. Heard from an insider this morning that Musgrove expects to pitch late September, and Pad's on board with possibility. Has anyone else heard anything about this? No, I've not heard. I know Joe would like to pitch. But unless he's completely healthy, he ain't pitching. And really, the only reason why, well, there are 2 reasons. Number one, Joe likes competition. And this guy's with the team morning, noon, or night. He travels with the team, all that good stuff. The guy's a competitor. We talked about Joe in the last podcast. This guy's a winner. Loves baseball. And just a tough, hard-nosed dude out of East County. Got a lot of respect for Joe Musgrove. But the real reason to bring him back, because I don't know if it'd be a difference maker, because he'd be working his way back, kind of like what Otani's doing right now. He would come back. It's mentally. It's mentally having pitched in a major league game and got major league hitters out going into the off season, rather than going into the next off season working and not having faced batters. It's a big mental thing as much as it is a physical thing. I hope Joe comes back. But I don't want him to push it because he's such a competitor. Sometimes guys like Musgrove, you have to protect them from themselves. As an organization, as a coach, manager, pitching coach, you got to protect those guys from themselves. But yeah, I'm all about Joe Musgrove. Joe Musgrove, I hope when his career is over, I hope he stays in baseball. He's the type of guy you need in baseball. I don't care in what capacity. I don't care if it's coaching at his old high school at Grossmont High School. Okay? I want Joe Musgrove to stay in the game and and bring his love for the game to other people, whether it's a Padre organization or, he ends up being a scout or whatever. You're going to have enough money. You're going to need to sit behind home plate and gun amateur pitchers. But guys like Joe Musgrove, you need to keep in the game because this guy lives, breathes, and sleeps baseball. And that's my type of guy. All right. What else we got? Live questions. Okay, we got enough there. Let's just take a quick look back. I'm not going to regurgitate everything that went on. We'll start on Friday night. Good night for the Padres. They win in 10 innings. They out-hit Texas 10-5, win it 3-2. Cronenworth, that game-winning little lob shot, parachute shot down to right field. Brought in Jackson Merrill. He got jammed on the pitch by Robert Garcia, but it doesn't matter. It still counts. Padres win. Nice win. Padres trailed 2-0 after 3 frames. That was a very good win. And a guy that I wanted to talk about here a little bit today is Randy Vasquez. Randy Vasquez has done a hell of a job for the Padres. I was looking at his numbers. That was his 18th start. Didn't figure in the decision. He's thrown 90 and a third innings this year, 3-4 record, and he's given up 81 hits in 90 and a third innings. Batters are batting .238 against him. Now, I went back and I looked at his numbers from last year, and he's approaching innings from last year, but think about these numbers. Last year, he had 20 starts, a 4-7 record, and a 4.87 ERA in 98 innings. And in 98 innings a year ago, he gave up 119 hits. Batters batted over 300 against Vasquez. 304 this year. Again, 90 in a third innings, giving up only 81 hits, and batters are hitting .238. Randy Vasquez, he's not going to be a superstar, probably never going to be an all-star. But he's a guy pitching the way he's pitching right now that can be a good, solid veteran presence in a major league pitching rotation. And I got to tell you, I liked him when the Padres got him. He'd just kind of gotten his feet wet back in 2023 with the New York Yankees. I liked him. He went through a lot of growing pains last year. He's not an overpowering pitcher, but he's done one hell of a job for the Padres this year. And I'll tell you, the guy that I was impressed with the other night, he went 5 1/3, giving up 4 hits and 2 earned runs, was former #1 pick Kumar Rocker, the kid out of Vanderbilt. He's going to be a good pitcher. He's still trying to figure it out right now. I got, high ERA, not a great one-loss record. But he's a guy that I think is going to be pretty good. Padre bullpen on Friday night was fantastic. Morahone ended up qualifying for the win, moved his record to 5-3. But Estrada, a good outing. Jason Adam, Robert Suarez, Adrian Morahone. Bullpen was solid. They went 4 innings, gave up only 2 hits, and had 4 strikeouts and 3 walks. So a good win on Friday night for the Padres. Manny Machado, 2 for 3, his 14th homer. Arise, 2 for 4, a walk, an RBI. Gavin Sheets had a couple of hits. And Trenton Brooks, a couple of hits as well. So good to see the kid out of Granite Hills High School have a good ball game. Okay, and then Saturday night, I really thought the Padres were going to win this game going against Patrick Corbin, who over the last decade probably has the highest ERA of any major league star. Remember, he was really pretty good with Arizona, and he signed that big money deal with Washington and pitched okay. And then after they won the World Series, his ERA was terrible. He was getting hammered, giving up home runs and hits and runs. But he you know what? Working with Mike Maddox, doing a pretty good job. Lowered his ERA down to 4.18, improved his record to 5-7, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs the other night against the Padres. Gave up that 2-run homer to Jay Cronenworth. But really, the guy that did the big damage, and he hasn't had a good year. He really hasn't. But I got a bunch of Facebook, text messages, X messages about how could the Padres let Kyle Higashioka go? He hit, 17 dingers last year, and he hit 3 more in the postseason. Well, Texas gave him a complete overpay. He had to take that deal. Padres weren't going to give him that kind of money. He hadn't had a good year. He had 1 home run coming in. Now he's got 2. He had a 2-run homer the other night. And everybody's going, oh, man, the Padres, they missed out. They didn't miss out on anything. Is Higashioka a better hitter than Martin Maldonado? Yeah. Martin, by the way, had 2 hits on Sunday night. But Higashioka on a Saturday night, 3 for 3, a 2-run homer, a sac fly, 5 RBIs. And Texas wins the ball game 7-4. They out hit the Padres 11-10. Padres that night were only 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Friday night they were 4 for 12 with runners in scoring position. And finally, on Sunday night, an old friend of mine was calling the ball game, Roxy Bernstein with Tim Kirchin and Jessica Mendoza. Roxy's a good guy. Padres won it 4-1, taking the rubber game. So last week the Padres ended up going 3-3, 1-2 versus Philly, 2-1 against Texas. Padres won bullpen game. David Morgan making his first career start, inning and a third, 4 hits, a run, a walk, a strikeout. Great play by Cronenworth to end the first inning, or it could have been a whole lot worse. And 5-8-3 for Kyle Hart, who came in behind Morgan. Kyle Hart getting a recall from AAA El Paso. They sent down Stephen Kolek. I don't think that's for anything, just to kind of keep him in the rotation during the All-Star break. But Kyle Hart, recall from El Paso, 3 2/3, no hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts, put himself back on the radar, improves to 3-2 in a 5-8-3. And I got to tell you, Kyle Hart has been great at Petco Park. He's been awful on the road. I mean, I don't have those splits. For the next show, I'll take a look at those splits. But I'd only let Kyle Hart pitch at Petco Park. For whatever reason, he's been unbelievable at Petco Park. But on the road, he can't get anybody out. And Jack Leiter, the other kid from Vanderbilt, another number 1 guy, 3 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. I can tell you, he's going to be a hell of a pitcher. He got great stuff. Just lack command. He's 4-6 with a 4.32. Fernando, a big night, 2 for 3, 2 walks, RBI, 19th stolen base. They had that RBI double. Luis Arraez had an incredible weekend. I'm telling you, he's going to be right there for the batting title again. I mean, this guy is finding a way to find openings. Over the weekend, he went 8 for 13 against Texas. Could have had a 5 for 5 game on Saturday night if it weren't for Josh Smith, the third baseman. He went up high for a line drive, and that was the night Arraez went 4 for 5. Very well could have been 5 for 5, but Arraez now hitting 292 on the year. Gavin Sheets had a hit the other night. Xander Bogaerts 2 for 3, a walk. Cronenworth 1 for 3, a walk, and RBI, and Martin Maldonado 2 for 4 in an RBI. So I was looking at Xander Bogaerts. He had to come out on Friday night, and he got that cramp. It was 0-1, and Bryce Johnson came up and swung at 2 pitches, and he was out. He got credit for the strikeout, not Bogaerts. But, yeah, Bogaerts, he had that cramp, and that's been a little bit of a problem. So, anyways, let's see. I already went through the pitching matchups. Let's get to the National League standings, and we're going to take a look at the wild card as well. Okay, National League standings. Here we go. We got, obviously, the Mets and Yankees hooked up over the weekend. We'll start with the National League East. Philadelphia, a game and a half up on the Mets. That's going to be a great race to the end. And not that they're going to be in it, but Miami has been playing a whole lot better. They're 40-48, but Philadelphia at 53-37. The Mets 52-39. I like the Phillies. I enjoy watching the Phillies play a lot more than the Mets. And oh, by the way, now maybe they'll get them in by next Tuesday, but your favorite former Padre, Juan Soto, did not make the All-Star team, nor should he. I mean, I can't believe Seika Suzuki from the Cubs did not make it, leading all of the world in RBIs right now. Got 26 bombs. But there you have the National League East. National League Central. Brewers, Dodgers have the Brewers the next 3 days in Milwaukee. That ought to be very interesting. But the Cubs playing great. The Cubs are just swinging the hell out of the bat. 54-36. Brewers 4 games back. Don't rule out the Cardinals. Cardinals are going to be a real fly in the ointment, I think, when it comes to the wild card. They're 6.5 back. Reds right now 8 games back. They're going to be a player in the wild card. And you got the Pirates picking it up at 38-53. National League West Dodgers 7-game lead. They've lost 3 straight going into Milwaukee. Padres 7 games back at 48-41. This is a big week for the Padres, especially against Arizona. And Philadelphia are going to want to close out the first half. So Padres need to get they need to go 4-3. They go 4-3 this week. I would be very happy with 52 wins at the break. The Giants hanging in there at 7 games back, 49-42. They've had a roller coaster ride. Arizona at 44-46, 11 and a half games back. And Colorado, even though they're playing better, and Mickey Moniak, the young kid from La Costa Canyon and Encinitas, really starting to put together a very, very nice year with the Rocks, 21-69. Okay, let's take a look now at the wild card and see where everybody's stacking up in this wild card right now. And by the way, can I just say this? And I wasn't going to get into a bunch of soccer today, but man, totally disappointed with the performance by the U.S. national team in the CONCACAF Gold Cup last night against Mexico. Mexico's better. But man, they dominated play. They had the ball. Their time of possession was like 60% to 40 for the U.S. And the U.S. didn't even have one corner kick. Mexico seemed like they were having corner kicks all night. It looked like practice. They had 12 corner kicks last night. And boy, before the World Cup next year, man, United States got to figure it out. It was a pretty disappointing effort last night. I watched the entire match. I was really irritated. Okay, National League wild card. You got the Metropolitans leading right now, the Brewers at 50-40. And then you got the Padres basically. They've got a percentage point ahead of the Giants at 48-41 and 49-42. But take a look how tight this is. You got the Cardinals a game back, the Reds 2.5 back, Arizona 4.5 back, and even the Marlins 7.5 back. The Braves, I don't know what the Braves are going to do. I think they could trade Marcell Ozuna. There was talk last week on the MLB Network. Maybe they had to trade Robert Acuna Jr. The guy's unbelievable. He's starting in the All-Star game, even though he only played about 39 games, and now he's in the 40s, but he's in the All-Star game. The All-Star game's just different. It's more about a popularity contest rather than the guys that are having good years. Now, Acuna's having a good year. He just hasn't played a whole lot. But there's some guys that deserve to be there that aren't going to be there, and hopefully they will get there by next Tuesday. I still enjoy the All-Star game. I enjoy the home run hitting contest. I just enjoy the baseball chatter of everything that's going on. But that's the wild card right there. Okay, what else we got to get done today? We got the wild card. Oh, the Leo DeVries update. And then we're going to get out of here. Long show today. Okay, Leo DeVries. We know he's 18. He turns 19 on September 11th. A weekly update. Yesterday, Fort Wayne got beat by the Lansing Lugnuts, 5-2. Leo DeVries 1 for 4, a 2-run homer, his 6th of the year. Fort Wayne, by the way, high A ball for the Padres. They're 40-40. Now here's DeVries' numbers on the season: 255 in at bats, a 247 average, nothing to write home about. But again, he's the youngest kid in the league. 15 doubles, 4 triples, 6 homers, 39 RBIs, 44 walks, 61 strikeouts, 6 stolen bases. He's been caught 6 times, so you're going to have to work on that area. He's only 50%. You want it to be 80 or better percentage-wise if you're considered a great stolen base guy. 360 on base percentage, good. Remember, he's a switch hitter. 408 slug and a 768 OPS. The other cool thing, and we're going to be able to see him on TV next week. He's going to be playing in the Futures All-Star Game this coming Saturday, July 12th at Truist Park in Atlanta at 1:10. MLB.com ranks DeVries number 3 prospect in all of baseball. And I'm not sure what station that game's on. I'll try to track that down. I think probably the MLB Network. But that's the weekly Leo DeVries update. Okay, let's get to some coaches' mailbag, and we'll get ready to close it out on a Monday. It's going to be a fun 4-game set. It's going to be a fun week with 7 straight ball games. All right, did you think Darvish would return before King? Where is King? That's a very good question. Yeah, I thought Darvish would come back because he hadn't pitched all year. I thought, he would definitely pitch before King. Last night, Tim Kirchin said that the Padres now don't expect King to come back until late August or early September. I think all those timelines are garbage. He's back throwing, but I don't think any of those timelines really tell the story. We have no idea. They have no idea. And there's also talk he may not pitch again this year, which would not surprise me. I think King's motivation, he can say, I got to get back for the ball club and all that's well and good. And sure, I'm sure it is. But at the end of the day, he's got a $15 million deal with the Padres, but it's a player option, not a club option. And if he walks away, he gets, I think, $3.5 million. He's going to be set either way. But he'd like to go out there and showcase his ability so other teams know that he's healthy and he could sign a long-term contract. This will be his only opportunity to really sign a long-term contract in his career. So we'll see what Darvish brings to the table tonight. I just hope he gets out of it healthy and they don't have to take him out, or after the performance tonight, he experiences more inflammation in that elbow. So we'll see how it goes, see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Mary Sue, is there any chance the Padres win the division, or should Padre fans accept the reality of a good wild card spot? Mary Sue, I don't think there's a snowball's chance. As you know what, the Padres are going to overtake the Dodgers. Tyler Glass now, I think, is going to make a start before the All-Star break. See if he can stay healthy. Blake Snell's supposed to go out on a rehab assignment. Blake Trinan, they're hoping to get back. They're going to start getting some reinforcements. You know what's really interesting about the Dodgers? Otani's, not swinging it all that well right now. Mookie Betts having the worst offensive season of his career. There's still time to turn that around. He did have a decent weekend against Houston. Freddie Freeman's been awful. He had a rough weekend against the Astros, but those three guys have not done it. I mean, I'll tell you, the guy that was getting it done, Max Muncy, had a couple of good months. Will Smith's been their best player all year long. Will Smith's played great. Tommy Edmonds kind of slowed down a little bit. And Andy Paez, if you take a look at the Dodgers, between Muncy, Paez, and Will Smith, those are the three guys. I'm anxious to see what they're going to do out there in left field with Conforto. Conforto's playing a great defensive left field. But, man, he got to swing the bat. He's looking for the perfect pitch. You're not going to get the perfect pitch. Guys are just pounding him inside, and he's not making adjustments. He can't get to that pitch. So Conforto, I've never been a big fan. He signed a one-year, $17 million deal. Padres, glad they didn't go after him. And I think the Dodgers, they may cut bait with Conforto unless he really starts hitting. And there's no reason to think he's going to start hitting right now. He's had a couple of bright moments recently, but the guy's still hitting in the 170s. Got a lot of at-bats. It's going to be hard to get to 200 this year. And he'll be a free agent again. And I don't want to hear anybody talk, well, Conforto can play left field for the Padres. Hell no, he can't. He can play good left field, but he can't hit. Give him a tennis racket. But Mary Sue, I think Padres get in. They're going to be a wild card. And they may be the third wild card, but hey, it really kind of comes down to if they want to be buyers or sellers. Or the thing is, I just don't think the Padres have the roster and the depth right now to win a world championship. And they need to restock their farm system. We'll see what they end up doing. In a perfect world, I'd love for them to reward the fans by going out there and buying, but that may be the worst thing they can do, is go out and buy and give up any top prospects. And hopefully they won't do that. Mariah, 1998, I like that. Waiting for the Padres to make a trade still. Will they be silent this season? Well, if they're silent, it's because the ownership wants them to be silent. The general manager, I'm sure, is working on deals right now. But at the end of the day, the ownership has to sign off on those deals. And again, if they trade Salas or DeVries, I'm not going to be happy. You can talk about Mayfield, the pitcher. You trade him, I'm not going to lose sleep over that. But this DeVries kid, pretty special talent. I think Salas, I know he's going through the back problem now, but he's 19 years old. I'm not giving up on this guy. I'm not giving up. I don't want to see all these guys playing for other ball clubs. I mean, Mackenzie Gore's in the All-Star game this year. He doesn't have a good record, but he's with a bad ball club. But he's got a great ERA. And James Wood, 22 years of age, 6'7", 240 pounds. The guy's hitting light tower home runs. And we gave up one to get Juan Soto for a year and a half. We're going to have to watch these guys, along with C.J. Abrams, play for another 10 to 12, 15 years. come back and beat our brains in. It's unfortunate. That's the way it goes with travel. When you travel guys around and trade them out of your organization, and I'm not blaming AJ because ownership wanted to win, and that's where you're at. But now you got to replenish the farm system for me. I'm a draft and develop type guy. And by the way, the draft's next Sunday. How about Washington? They blow out Mike Rizzo, and they've got the first pick in next Sunday's draft. But Mariah, I would hope the Padres would be busy, but again, you got to be very careful. And I'll tell you, if the Padres have a bad week, then I might sell. I mean, this is since May 1st, this team is a game under 500. They're still living off of the 5 games they won in March and having a really good April. Because this game right now, this team, they're a game under 500 since May 1st. And that's not good. That's not a good trend. So we'll see how they do against the Diamondbacks. We'll see how they do against the Philadelphia Phillies, a real nemesis. But thank you very much, Mariah. Appreciate that. All right, that's going to wrap it up. I think this is our longest show ever. An hour and 20 minutes. A lot of good conversation with Brad Cesmat, Jonathan Oliveri, doing a great job behind the scenes. Reminder, we're going to be in on Wednesday. I know you missed me last week. I only did the one show, but I'm sure you had a lot of fun things. Hopefully you didn't get sunburned too bad. I had a lot of fun things, and I still got things to do today. I'm calling the Strike Force tonight. Strike Force playing in a key game in the Western Division of the Indoor Football League. They're taking on the first place Bay Area Panthers. Bay Area 10-2, Strike Force 8-4 in second place. Very important game tonight for the Strike Force. Game starts at Front Wave Arena in Oceanside at 6:05. And if you see me, come up and say hi. I walk around the arena all the time before the game. So make sure you say hi. And again, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please like. Please send in your coach mailbag questions. And we'll go at it again on Wednesday, live at 9 a.m. Until then, Coach John Kentera, let's go Padres. Let's have a couple of good games to talk about on Wednesday morning. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.